Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your Elvino Shorty, and we're going to review another Fantastic Four issue 1. I threatened you I'd do this, and I stand by my threats, even though it was not as good as I wanted it to be. But there is stuff I liked about it. I'm going to be honest, Fantastic Four First Steps, it's something which appeals to me because it is an in-universe artifact, and I kind of like those things. One of my favourite of the Horizon Experiment ones had that kind of thing within it, where it was an entire double-page spread of something which was very, very useful for plot, but also existed in the universe of the story. This is doing the same kind of thing, and Matt Fraction leans into this with aplomb. I absolutely adore damn near everything he has to do with it. For a start, we begin just with an intro letter from the CEO of the Future Foundation. Even the font for it makes me feel like this is an actual in-universe, retro-futurist vibe item that they've picked out and put in there. And through the comic book, we have like references to the Fantastic Car, joining the Johnny Storm fan club, just on the back an advert for a very particular type of soft drink that only exists in the Fantastic Four universe. And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is not only solid commitment to the bit, but it's done really well, and it adds humour and world building to it in ways which just seem far more natural than some other stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, I always appreciate Hickman throwing in graphs and pie charts and the like, but it kind of takes you out just a little bit because it feels a bit too dry. It's useful and adds context, and when it's done well, it's done really well. In this case, it almost feels effortless, and I love it for that. When we actually get into the story, we do have some brilliant writing as well. Most of what we get isn't words on the page in terms of dialogue. Sorry, I've literally only just arrived in work, a bit warm. But we have like narration telling us what's going on. It feels far more like a Starship Troopers infomercial propaganda piece than anything else. And this one does certainly have a vibe of that, where it is trying to reassure us that Marvel's First Family is definitely this amazing organisation of people who are always going to do the best thing. It doesn't do it quite with the same cutting bite that Starship Troopers does, but obviously it's not trying to be Starship Troopers. It also has an awful lot of alliteration, which I always adore, and I'm absolutely fine with all of that carrying on throughout it. When we do get dialogue, there's not too much of it, but it gives a chance for the characters to show us who they are, not only through their actions and what they are saying, but how they're saying it. There's very nice language choices made, little bits of sniping and digging between the family, which shows that they are people who know each other very well, know each other's limits, and can bounce off each other to the point where it's like mildly annoying, but if anything, it makes you want to do something about it to maybe prove that you don't deserve the criticism or prove that you are better than they think you are. It all makes me get a sense of, yes, these are people who know each other very, very well. There's a couple of other bits where I'm not quite so much a fan of. We constantly get like interrupted from the story to go back to interviews these people have given, which does add context, but it does feel a little bit too much into the tell don't show, especially because they lack some of the flow we get from the other writing. I'm not saying it's totally jarring, it doesn't totally pull me out. Like I've said before, the in-universe nature of these pages all works well for a unified idea, but in terms of story flow, it just breaks it down just that little bit. And there's also a moment in like the first like double page spread we've got. It's got 4 panels, 2 for each page, and the first panel is Fantastic Four getting some kind of order from the president in the Oval Office, and we see Ben Grimm as the Thing. But then the next 3 panels are all telling us how they became the Fantastic Four, and I'm like, well, if you're starting here, why not have him just as Ben Grimm and then work through? And I get that, yes, it is a flashback. It's just, from that point, the rest of it is flashback. And I get that. But visually, it just, again, just jarred. Just that little bit. And now, unfortunately, I have to talk about the stuff that I don't like too much about it, which is most of the visuals. It wasn't that long ago, I was reading a comic book where I was really impressed with somebody's economy of line, where they did nothing that was unnecessary, but still made the pages feel like everything we needed was there. And this was helped an awful lot by fantastic colouring and understanding of dynamic artwork. In this one, for a start, the line work isn't great. There's times when I feel like it just isn't as clear as it needs to be. The colouring feels far more into the standard Marvel way of doing it, and there are moments where it works quite nicely. There's a nice wide shot of planet Earth. There's some nice moments where they take the time to work out some grass, but in terms of characters and backgrounds where they're standing in, it honestly feels a little bit more like a background with some paper dolls on it, and there's no real sense of depth or perspective to what's going on. And again, the action is okay, but it isn't great. It just makes me feel like the bigger effort was gone to like the set piece kind of things, and yes, the bit with the planet Earth with the starship going off, that looks fantastic. And there's some other nice bits where we get to see them in the Fantastica, really nice sense of perspective and foreshortening as it's coming towards the POV. But other than that, the artwork is the thing that lets it down so much that I can't really give this much of a recommendation. If you really are set on finding out about the movie, it's a good start. But go for it for the writing. Don't go for it for the art. And that's it for me. I'll talk to you all again. Look after you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.